So he had 2 movement lessons yesterday. So he's just exploring his new sitting. I know. So not that I have goals, but my goals today to start getting more, which you can see just a tad on the right, is to get his arms starting to functioning better. Okay, I'm done. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, up over the shoulder. Yes, you finished my sentence. Okay, yes, okay. So, do you see the big box? Would you like the big
He's like,
box?
last time you gave it to me.
I know. What do you think?
Wow, that's pretty strong.
So what I'm doing here, and it's totally up to you guys if you want to get behind me or in front of me, you know, again, it's being recorded. Hi.
Hi. What are you doing?
So first thing I'm doing is going for a ride with his vestibular. So as he's right, lefting, I'm just, you know, my hand's just letting him go rock back and forth. But I'm doing it in such a way because I don't want him to, quote, fall over. I want him to be successful. But what he's doing more now, can you see today how he's you know, boogering around on his butt, you know. So, and that's what kids do, they play, you know. But that's walking. We don't stand walking rigid. We need a pelvis that moves around and balances, and we learned it here in sitting. So, but when I'm here in this position, what I'm going to start doing, because I'm more on the right side of his chest cavity, and it would depend if I was over here, so I never work on the profiles, which is the rear of his spine. I'm either off to the right or off to the left. So my hands are here for stability, my fingers on this side, and my thumb is on this side of the spine to start letting him know that I would like the upper thorax to be more involved with these movements. But at the same time, very cleverly, I'm going to take my right hand on this side of the chest, but what I'm actually going to be doing is coming underneath the arm here and lifting the arm. So he starts playing with his arms more like this, so eventually he's more reaching over, crossing the midline kind of thing. So here, if I were to let him go, he'd knock over. I get that. Now I'm not going to let him go into a point too where he would naturally, as a child on his own, be unsuccessful. My line is usually I don't let babies fly. So you'll see that more cleverly too when you see a baby try and stand up like in this position. You couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So I don't prop a baby up if they're trying to stand up through the rear of their legs. You know, I go over the pelvis. Yeah, peace, yes. Are you gonna grab them? So he can very nicely play with the left hand. I'm fine with that. I'm not really restricting the right, but I'm actually in there into this whole shoulder girdle right now and working on the shoulder girdle.
When you say you're working on it, like what does that mean? You're doing just kind of wiggling it, or?
I'm always doing specific touch. So the touch, and then what I'll do is when we put him down, since it's a really good question, that'll be our lesson the next hour. That'll be when you guys get to all work on each other, specifically working on the shoulder girdle. Because this is hands-on too, so you're gonna learn today. So what I'm doing is, see, I have my left thumb here again to stabilize him. I'm not applying a force. But what I'm doing is seeing how his scapula and the shoulder comes back. See, if I do a full shoulder rotation, see how my scapula comes back? If a child doesn't learn that, then throwing the ball will be here versus being able to come back here and throw the ball. which again is part of the significance of what they do in infancy, that it carries through with them to adulthood. So if you notice too, I'm not constantly just bringing the arm back. I'm going forward, I'm going up, I'm going down, but I always kind of do it in that twist. Like here, I'm kind of just twisting that torque. Oh my goodness, we have silver. I just really like the beads. They make noise.
Yeah,
They're light.
On the surface they're making.
The only thing is, just don't let them alone playing with these suckers. CPS will come knocking at your door. Talk to Bobby. Talk to Bobby. One's lights. He likes the lights versus the square. Here we go, versus the square. So now I've switched, he's going forward, I'm going to take advantage of it. So I'm just under the bum, working on his forward balance through the hands. And see, notice when the balance starts to happen, I can lift the bum up quite nicely.
Mm-hmm.
He's starting to present weight to the knee on the left side. Notice how I'm not jumping him to all fours. Now if he suddenly brings this knee forward, then I might bring him to all fours. But see how the knee is still behind the pelvis. And also he's not used to carrying his weight in this position. There we go. That almost stuck on his hand. Now again, I purposely didn't let him face plant. Like I said, the ball's stuck in the hand. But notice how the concentrate of the toy is much more important than whatever I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm doing, very subtly,
He usually hates being in any position that
Yeah, but
way
see,
too.
I had to wait for the knee to come over. He had to work on his balance. When it's not an issue, there's no trouble with it. When it's an issue, the baby's protecting himself first. And people really just don't understand how subtle it can be. I didn't do much yesterday.
Just like that where he pushed down his elbow. He
Yeah.
like doesn't usually ever do that himself.
But notice I'm down here. What I'm doing is I've got my hands on both sides of the elbow, so he's not going to go spread leg. What I'm doing is slightly shifting his weight very subtly from the left to the right, because he needs to go left side to go right hand on the toy successfully. And then at the same time, this is where I get pretty complex, I've got my thumb on his lower spine to activate the spine, because that's what's going to bring the head up eventually more. But right now, he still has a nice head position. But this is where too, let's say if Bobby were to jump and bring it up, okay. So come back, come back. That was a lot on your arms, you haven't done that. And that's just muscle fatigue. Now, I was holding him under the chest, but he was bearing weight. I was just doing it enough to keep him successful. And babies take breaks. By the way, anytime any of you guys have any questions, feel free. Now Now see here, just move my arm around. Notice with the hands, I do very little hand over hand. I'm not a big fan of ABA therapy for that reason. I moved my hand and I stimulated his upper biceps. Sorry, I didn't mean to distract with the front. There, now the knee just came over. Now, you want it to stand, which is fine. I'm letting the startle come down. There we go. Yeah. There you go. That's how you go back into sitting from that. See how I'm teaching how to get in and out.
You want me to take that off?
Yeah, this is where you need a college degree of. Pretty good. And see too with all this play how much he has to get used to the object. He's not just trying to grab it and say mine. He's still like, what's the conversation here? But now I'm going to switch over and see if we can go over on the right side. Hi, is it fun? It is fun to play and be a big boy. It is.
With a smile.
Yeah.
And this too, notice how I'm not so much under the knees. Oh, good and tight. Got another one or just one? Bad babies do like multiples.
It's trying to roll over.
Yeah, push back, bring it back. There you go. That's getting up. And now again too, look at how nice he's playing in the side sit. Yeah? Just because I said that, you're going to fuss? Is that what it is? Oh my goodness. There, 2 hands. That's what I want. 2 hands. I know. Yeah. Is that the best thing now? Is that your buddy? Is that too much? Is that too much? So then I'll bring him back to where he was. Yep, it's not going to happen when you arch. See how I stop? That arching. So now the hand's coming forward, the chest is softening, knees coming up and around. And I'm here on the pelvis and under the chest cavity, but again, very subtly, even on the, yep. a fine call. I didn't want to push him, but at the same time, I didn't want to reward him by him distressing instantly and me pulling him out of it. So I waited for a second just to see if it was too much or not. So I'm kind of doing it, showing him how to get out of it, but getting the last word. It's a lot of people think I'm a mean mom, or, no, told me outright. My kids just could not handle McDonald's, do everything, throw up, fast food in general. Too much stimuli, too much smells, whatever. They'd leave and be like, what are we doing tomorrow? You going to McDonald's? I'm like, we hate it there. This is the real world. It's fluorescent lights, it's sounds, it's this, So there's a fine line of pushing. There's a healthy stress. You came down here. You didn't know what you were up to. You were coming to some lady. You talked to me a couple times on the phone. It was a big decision, but you did it. You know what I mean? Even if it didn't work out, it's okay. It's a healthy stress. We need to do this as human beings. Same thing as babies. You can't bubble wrap them. So he's stressed. And again, why am I forcing him in that? Now, if he kept going, then I would get him out. I mean, I don't want him crying. But he calmed down. He self-soothes. I'm like, okay, cool. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Because that kind of makes me wonder, because I read the book Kids Beyond Limits
Right.
and stuff, and she was kind of saying how, once they do something, she doesn't like to ask them to do it again right
Well,
away.
that's
do you
correct.
do that, or do you think that isn't really a thing?
I work on them, but yeah, no, I don't say, oh, this is great, let's do it again, because he doesn't know what he did.
Uh-huh.
So, or what did here is he's more successful going over on the left side than he is on the right, so I'm bringing him back and forth, see which one we're doing. But yeah, if a kid just starts walking and daddy comes home and say, let's do that again, the kid's like, what did I do, So. Oh, what? Do you want to lie down? Is that just a lot sitting? I don't know. Is that a lot sitting? That's a lot. You are? You're doing a lot. But your buddy's still there. Yes, he is. Can we work on rolling? That would be fine too. You can see right there, that's where his balance is an issue, and he comes back. So now I'm going to come underneath and see if I can just say, that's not so bad. Oh, try it again. See, now this I'm doing it again. But he's doing it, he's initiating. So it's a fine line of what actually is a repeat. If you want, let him have it a couple of times, let him bring it to his mouth, see, maybe that's what the problem is, he hasn't scored yet. A baby scores bringing it to the mouth.
He doesn't really do that.
I know, but he's still
Yeah, holding
much
it,
happier
yeah.
now that instead of it always being at reach, he would just get real frustrated. So as he's here, trying new positions, the hands are over the shoulder height, which is really good for me. You can do it on your own chest cavity. There's a big difference holding a toy here versus holding a toy here. It's a complete different stimulation on the pelvis. So if you go like this, you feel it much more through here, and then your center of gravity has to change to bring the object up here. So even though he's laying down, it makes a big difference. So as he's doing that, I'm on this side of the spine.
A lot of times when he's holding toys too, he likes to really lock his elbows.
Right.
Is that kind of a strength thing or a balance?
Balance thing.
Balance. because his occupational therapist was like, I think he's fatiguing, and I'm like, I don't feel like he's that weak that he would have to
Well, he can still
lock him all the
fatigue
time.
because you just don't understand. Like, if I asked you to brush your teeth, you know, or do the whole day, like if you're right-handed as a left-handed person, eat with your left hand, eat with your, you'd be fatigued. If you had to think that much about your daily moves, we really don't, and that's why he was just sitting for this long, and I was just like, do you want to lay down? You know, you got to honor the system, and you got to honor the system to a point that it's not a spoil, but realize he's still just, you know, these are all new things. He's never been on all fours before. Just visually what that's doing for his brain. That's a workout. I mean, it looks gentle. It's a complete neurological workout because his whole brain's just changing.
So it's not necessarily like with the locking arms, like a muscle fatigue. It's just more of like the
A balance, to me, it's a balance fatigue. He's grabbing the feet, playing toys. That's good. Because and I should be able to use my eyes and do all of this. I should be able to do all of this and look at Claudia on the light, to look back at you. I should be able to do all of this. This is what extreme basketball players, skiers and all that do. So for a baby to just go, you know, look at the difference of the movement vocabulary versus I'm kicking my feet and the toys are here and you know, and I'm working on stuff, other things like that that don't necessarily have to be hand related. You know, that he's freeing up his body more and more and playing. It's really important. That'll show up later in life. Would you like a new toy now? He does really good.
I like this.
Oh, there we go.
He likes to whip things.
So now the rolling over on this side is almost there. See how right at the end
And
is
that's to
his
go back,
balance.
yeah.
This is balance. And also, instead of using his lower back to bring himself back, he's bringing his feet up. So he's using the weight of his legs to bring his body back. Again, those things are very subtle, where a normal eye would be like, oh, well, he's rolling from side to side. Well, not really.
No.
I think it's a horrific video series where they compare a good child to a
Oh,
obviously
I've
delayed
looked
child.
at those before I got them. I'm like, that's so depressing.
Not only that, but they're doing nothing to help this child. And
Yeah.
at one point where they're like, this is the one good move he does do it, I'm like, no,
Is
it's
that the
not.
Is that the one where it's like two
They're both
4-month-old
naked.
boys?
Yeah. It's they go 2 months, 4 months, 6 months.
Oh, I think I just saw the 4-month one.
Oh, they're bringing him up into sitting, and there's no sound, but you can tell the kid's just screaming his brains out as the head drags back, and they're like, just see how the back structure is. I'm like,
It's funny, huh?
ah, these toys, all we need is mommy. There we go. So in here, I'm not trying to bring his hand out, what a lot of people would like to do. It's a real big habit of Miss Diana. See how slow? There we go. Yeah. Bringing him onto the elbow so he brought his hand out. But I'm here on the shoulder, again, just to support him. Bringing him back down and up. Good. Good job. And over. Yay.
Yay! You're funny.
So now see his knee comes much nicer to the floor. Airplane.
Cute.
Airplane. I know. Airplane's important. There you go. Good rollover.
You did it.
Now same thing on this one. The knee's not ready to come down to the table. Do you see the difference? So here, on this side. See if he'll do it. See on this side the difference how the knees coming to the table. On this side, the difference of the knee not coming to the table. Just that little
Hold it
difference.
there.
Yeah. But he hasn't learned it yet. So now we're gonna, but I'm just trying to teach very subtle clues, but see now he's planting with the foot.
Is that a good thing?
Well, no, see, it's easy for him to push back,
Oh.
to stop the roll.
So does he just get to a point in his back where his balance just
Back,
says?
pelvis, well, he's never rolled over before, and he's bigger than proportional, I mean, you know, this is what's nice about having small babies. They still have so much more of a chance that they can catch up quicker, because there's still proportions, easier for him to learn how to sit up in this position. If his torso started really growing out, even just 2 months from now, unbelievable difference just in body weight to get that sucker up versus, you know. But, so I allow him to play with a toy, but I'm just looking for where I can work with that knee to present where the knee's okay. And then the chest. There we go. There. Okay, so the knee's there. So notice how I'm just here applying pressure through the pelvis, bringing the knee. What? I know. Did you catch it? Did you catch it? So now with the knee coming over, that's where, see, I can bring the other leg down. Yeah, I know. Oh, do you know we're trying to sneak one over? Do you know? Yeah, you think? You think?
That's a funny thing, huh? Is that funny?
There you go. Hands are up, so it's going to be a little bit easier. Now that was just the head lift that he fought me.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
See, just balancing the head, bringing it upright is work. And notice too, again, I'm not bringing him to all fours. I'm just letting him get used to bringing the head up. So center of gravity, I try to lift him through the waist. That was difficult for him. I tried mid-back, that was difficult, so he likes it better than his shoulders. So let's see if we'll do it. So the knee has to come down. There we go, right underneath the shoulder.
Look at you. Look at you.
And see how he has to stabilize his head, his eyes. Oh, very good. But oh, he didn't go all the way over.